On this episode of Giant TV, I have an incredible guest, Aviva. She's a Vistage Chair, and I get to work with a lot of incredible entrepreneurs that are doing amazing things. Aviva is one of those people. And the way she's building out her Vistage group, the diversity she's bringing into her group is fantastic. And so I know you're going to love this sit down I have with Aviva. Let's go check it out. Hi, everybody. This is Paul Hitchcock. I'm the founder and president of Giant Jacks Media. Welcome to Giant TV. And I'm really excited to have my guest here, Aviva Wolmer. Aviva, welcome. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Excellent. We're going to get into this. Aviva is a Vistage Chair. But before we talk about what you're doing now, Aviva, I'd love to hear about your background because you were a CEO yourself. So tell me, how did you get started in business?
Through interesting and strange routes, we'll put it like that. So my original plan, I went to law school. I was going to be a juvenile public defender.
Yeah.
That's what I spent my time in law school doing in the courthouse. And while I was studying for the bar and waiting my bar results here in Georgia, I went back into the family business for a little while. I had worked there on and off my entire life. The people there were my family. I loved the business. I knew it well, but it was not my intention in any way, shape, or form to get involved in the family business.
What was that business? What was the business about? What were they doing?
Steel service center. So take the flat roll coils of steel and we processed them and made them to sheets and smaller coils for manufacturers to make your air conditioning units, your garage doors, anything really made out of sheet metal. Those were our customers.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So you got in there and you started how long were you there, working your way up there?
So I went back there and I was just going to do a project. I was going to restart Pacesetter University. It had existed in the 90s and I wanted to leave a lasting legacy. Like I said, the people there were my family. So I wanted to do something meaningful when I had some time back. And then I was going to head back into law. Right? Because that never happened.
Yeah.
I was there a couple of months and I realized I had the significant power to impact people staying there. A huge part of my purpose is finding ways to impact people and help them. That was the case with kids, right? Juveniles who ended up in bad situations in the law. Same thing at Pacesetter. So when I realized I had the ability to impact 150 associates and their families, because of the things I was doing there, I didn't want to leave. I saw what I was doing at scale. With kids, it's hard. It's a lot of work, one at a time, and you may impact one kid's life and no others, right?
Right.
So it was really meaningful to me being back at Pacesetter and having that opportunity to really help and do something good for all of these people. What happened that really changed everything, one of the reasons I never wanted to go into the family business was really simple. I didn't want to be my father's daughter.
Right.
My dad had built something amazing and I never wanted to be known just as his daughter.
Right.
And, but to build the university back, I interviewed every single associate and they're, each probably for a couple hours each. When I asked permission to do so, the executive team looked at me like I was crazy, frankly. But they said yes. And I think they said yes because I was my father's daughter. So I think being my father's daughter changed my life, despite the fact that I didn't want to be my father's daughter.
Right.
So I went and interviewed them. And rather than getting, hey, I learned this way, please make sure any courses are, by reading or are verbal, the things I thought I was going to hear, they told me everything that needed to change with the company, all of their ideas. In those couple of hours, I ended up hearing problems, solutions, ideas, you name it. And there were themes. And so I came back from meeting with 150 different people to the executive team and said, did you know this? And did you know that? And do you know that 60% of people are saying X, Y, and Z? Everything was confidential between me and the associate, but there were so many common themes.
Right.
And the executives, I think, were honestly dumbfounded that
blown away.
Everyone was sharing with me.
Yeah.
But I had the only information and insight at that point to really lead an effective strategic planning And they knew they had that in the information that I had.
Mm-hmm.
So they partnered me up. My father and I found somebody who was really good at facilitating strategic planning. And so I partnered with him and I led strategic planning. Fresh out of law school, no clue what I was doing in the business world, but I was partnered with someone excellent, and we led strategic planning and made significant changes in the company based upon associates' feedback.
Awesome.
And that led me down the path where, I eventually became CEO.
Right. Right. Yeah. Incredible story. Yeah. And I mean, just hear your passion as you're talking about it. So you had these incredible experiences at that family business, becoming CEO. Now you're a Vistage Chair. And what was that transformation like? I mean, how did you get into it, and why?
So the person who I mentioned came in to help with strategic planning, also became my executive coach, mentor, friend, partner, everything you can think of as far as really inspiring me. I would not have ever become CEO if he had not believed in me, and shared with me that I had leadership innately within me. He has since passed. His name is Rick Johnson. He died a few years ago, but I have actually up there a wolf that reminds me that he's with me every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
So he really taught me a lot about leadership and about coaching. And so, when I became CEO, one of the things is I realized I didn't know what I didn't know. And I think that's a very common thing for any leader, right? We are encapsulated by our own set of experiences.
Totally. Yeah.
And that's all we have. I was going to be a brand new CEO in a family business in an industry, that I'd only been in for, I guess my life, but still so many years.
Right.
So I sought out some sort of solution to that. And I found Vistage. Vistage is an incredible organization. There's groups worldwide, and it's peer groups.
You became a Vistage member as a CEO.
I became a Vistage member as CEO. Nice. I was right before I became CEO, I knew that I needed something. I couldn't become a CEO on my own and not have support. So I sought out Vistage and I found it.
Right.
I joined it immediately, like literally as I became CEO, I became a Vistage member. And it was huge for me because here I got to sit once a month in a room of experienced CEOs who someone had always been through something I was going through before, or was going through something similar. And I could brainstorm, I could idea share, I could ask for ideas, resources. No matter what it was, someone either in that room knew about it, or knew someone who probably knew about it, or knew someone who knew someone who knew about it. But no matter what, I found a way to connect myself to a solution, a person, a resource, an idea because of being in that room.
Incredible. Yeah. A massive resource for you along the way. Yeah.
It was huge. I can name so many things that happened in my mind because I was a Vistage member that if I had never been a Vistage member, would never have happened for me or for the company.
Yeah, because you go into those Vistage, as a member, you go in there and it is open door policy, right? I mean, you're discussing opportunities, challenges. I know personal stuff comes in there too, but it's people, you're getting a lot out of it because you're putting a lot into it. Is that a fair statement?
Yes. And I would say a huge amount of my framework as a leader came from things I learned from speakers in Vistage from other CEOs that were in my group. I had a Vistage group that had 15-year members. So these were really seasoned expert CEOs whose leadership was really honed in on. And so to see how they handled certain things and to take that and model it and bring it back it was a great resource for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you'll have your own personal board of advisors right there for everything. So then how did you go? So then you decided to become a Vistage Chair, obviously. And I know, obviously, we're working together. You're building up your business and it's going gangbusters, which is amazing. But tell me about that transition, how you got into that and what you're doing now.
So I left the family business, not with the intent to become a Vistage Chair. I actually had another business I was building that was going to be ancillary and very supportive to Pacesetter. It was a really exciting opportunity. Of course, I left to do that and started that process right before the pandemic hit and COVID changed everything for everyone.
Right.
So that idea turned out not to be a very good business idea after COVID had really taken over for a few months and it wasn't going away by Memorial Day like we all thought it would. And when I realized that wasn't going to be the right solution for me, I really had to think about what was next. So it's kind of funny. I never thought I was going to be in a world thinking about what's next for me career-wise, but I had an excellent leadership team at Paysetter and they were on a roll, and stepping back in wasn't the right thing to do. So I need to figure out my right thing. I looked at buying some businesses, particularly in manufacturing, because I love manufacturing. It's kind of a part of my soul. But I also had a couple people suggest, you ever thought about being a Vistage Chair? A Vistage speaker suggested it to me. My old chair suggested it to me. And my first inclination is, I'm not qualified to do that. What are you guys thinking? But I reached out to Vistage because I was curious, because I love Vistage. I love what it did for me. I mean, being a member for 6 years, I got so much out of it.
Right.
And frankly, my favorite things about being a CEO are coaching and development. I sat down an hour and a half each month with each of my direct reports and did coaching with them, like real coaching, not, performance management conversations.
Right.
So I loved that. So after talking with Vistage, even though I may not have met the technical requirements on their website for the job description, we all agreed this could be a really good opportunity for me, that I could be a great fit. And so, they were kind of willing to try it out, and so was I. And I'm really glad that we're all willing to make that investment and take that risk, because I love being a chair. It's a great fit for me. I love the ability, again, to do every step of my career has been increased impact, right? So step one of my career, right, helping kids, then 2, going to Paysetter and seeing I could help one business, and that meant lots of families within that business, and really spread what I could have and bring and offer. Then going to Vistage, now I have a group of businesses that I'm working with their leaders and their CEOs. And that means every time I work with them, I work with all their employees, right? Because any impact that their leader brings back to their business. So this next phase of my career is scaling the things that I've learned and taking that to many businesses now, and helping that many more people through working with leaders. And I love that idea of being able to help people at scale.
Yeah, no, I see it. And getting to know you a bit as we've been working together. And what struck me is not only your passion about what you're doing, but the focus for you on the diversity that you're bringing to your group. I mean, you're absolutely crushing it. I know you're launching here soon with your group, but tell me about the diversity and your focus there, because I think it's intriguing.
So, a couple of things really hit me within the idea of bringing together a group of CEOs in a Vistage environment. One is, it is lonely at the top. I don't care how many advisors you have. They usually have bias and perspectives, right? So, and you don't know what you don't know. But the other is, if you go into a room with people that are just like yourself, you're not going to get much out of it. Right. You want to have people who have commonalities, right? Similar business issues, similar opportunities, similar challenges, so that you have an opportunity to have the conversation, right? You have to have some commonalities. But after that, I want as many diverse perspectives and backgrounds in the room as possible. If you have, 10 different people in a room with all very different backgrounds, experiences from one another, but discussing the same issue, then you have that many more solutions at the table and ideas for everybody to bring back to their organizations. My meeting last week was an incredible example of this. We talked about something so common to every organization as onboarding new associates. Okay. Very common topic. We all have to do it. Talent retention are huge right now. And the opinions in the room were very diverse from one another. A couple of people had this very strong perspective one way. They all came in thinking like, this is the answer. And someone came in and said, but have you thought about that? And it really looks and feels a little different than you're thinking it will to maybe some of your associates. And there was this up and step back in the room. And everybody changed their opinion a little bit that day. I don't think anyone walked out of the room with same thoughts, ideas, and feelings around onboarding as they walked in with, because they all heard each other and heard slightly different perspectives than they had and tweaked, what they thought would be successful based upon the conversation.
Okay, so that's awesome, because I got to say that as you're describing that, the fact that you're focused on diversity to me leads to challenges, right? Because if you have diversity, someone's going to have a different opinion, which is going to challenge your own, and that's where new schools of thought come from. That I see that connection.
And that's what's so, honestly, just excellent about it. You think about diversity and different perspectives, and okay, that's possible confrontation or clash, but instead, if you have the right people in the room, people who are truly growth minded, right? They want to learn, they want to grow, they want to make their businesses better, they want to make incredible strides and take them to the next level. Those kinds of people really value and appreciate feedback and diverse opinions. They want new ideas. They don't have an ego so hard to think that they can do it all on their own. Instead, they thrive off of new ideas and that brainstorming and coming back with an idea that was slightly different than what they came in with.
Yeah, love it. Where do you see yourself, your Vistage business, if you look 3-5 years down the road, what's the evolution look like?
For me, I have several groups. I have a couple CEO groups that are both very diverse and unique. I have ideas for bringing diversity in. I think that doesn't traditionally exist within Vistage, and I'll talk about that in a second. I also want to have a key executive group. So as a Vistage member, I always had a member of my executive team in a key group. And that was fabulous because they were getting exposed to a lot of the same ideas and thoughts, and having opportunities also to have that knowledge share and bring back ideas to our executive team. So I want to be able to support my CEOs by having one as well for their key executives. As far as the diversity goes, there's so many aspects of diversity, right? You hear diversity and inclusion all the time. It's a really popular hot topic right now. But I don't just mean diversity as far as gender or race or ethnicity. I mean all of those things, and age, level of experience, types of backgrounds and experiences as a CEO, types of businesses that you're in. So a good example of that is in Vistage, and at least in the Atlanta area, I don't think there's a ton of venture-backed companies that are in Vistage. My guess is they probably don't see their place in a Vistage group, because Vistage groups are a lot of cost-controlled businesses, and we're very different from that. But Atlanta is a unique market. We have the tech village. We have all these different tech centers popping up. We have Georgia Tech that's producing technology entrepreneurs right and left. So we are a mecca of that venture-backed environment right now. And I think there is a place for them, not in their own groups, right? Because venture-backed groups have a lot they can learn from one another. But why can't a cost control company learn from a venture-backed company? And why can't a venture-backed company learn from a cost-controlled company?
Great idea. Great. Yeah. Great input.
So I don't think you can have one venture-backed company in an entire Vistage group of 15 members of all cost controlled. That's not right and fair. But if you have, 4, 5, 6 of them in a group, so that there are things they can discuss amongst themselves and get feedback amongst themselves, but also learn from and share ideas with cost control businesses, I think it's a great another aspect of diversity. So I'm really looking at diversity amongst so many different angles. Family businesses, I want to mix of family businesses, private equity owned businesses, potentially public businesses. So, again, diversity in terms of, core concepts of when you think of diversity, race, ethnicity, gender, and I have that in my group already, but also these other concepts and angles around how businesses work. Because the more ideas you have around how a business can work, the more unique ideas you can bring into how your business works. Because cost control businesses don't need to all look the same.
Yeah.
And same with venture. So
yeah, no, love it. And as we get close to our the wall here for timing, what is your role? How do you see your role in all of this? I know Vistage chairs look at themselves a little bit differently. So I'm interested in how you see yourself with your group and what you're doing.
So my role is couplefold. First, it's to build the right groups and find the right people who can really add value to one another. Not everybody's a fit for, the same Vistage group as one another. And so it's really important to put the right people in a room together to create that group that's going to provide maximum value. So I see myself as that person to build that and make sure that I maintain that as I create groups. Second's to lead and facilitate, the discussions, right? Know what are the important discussions that need to happen and help create the environment to have those happen and bring the right topics up in the room so the right discussions are occurring. So that's really my big roles are to lead, to facilitate, to identify hot topics, bring the right speakers in where we want additional knowledge or information, and to really help the groups have the right dialogues to be the most impactful back to their businesses. I also love doing the one-on-one coaching with my executives and helping be a connector and find resources for them as well. Whatever I can do to help them grow their businesses.
Yeah, I could see that, the one-on-ones, that you would excel at that, and based on your experience at Pacesetter and what you've done there, the one-on-ones are powerful. Anything else you want to say, Aviva, before we wrap up here that we've left out? Any hot button issues going on with you?
I don't know if there's anything hot button. I mean, right now I'm really focused on my group and building my group. So if anybody sees this and they know someone who would be a good fit or they're interested in themselves, please reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you about Vistage, about my experience as a member, my experience as a chair of my group, and honestly help you find the right place for you. I wouldn't say that's definitely in my group. There's lots of groups that are unique and different from one another. And so I'm here to help people and businesses really, grow and expand the way they need to in the right places, not just through my group or me.
Love it, love it. And we avoided your dog barking in the background this whole session.
Yeah, we got lucky.
No trucks driving by, no dog barking. We're good to go.
No trucks have come by, so we're good. She's sleeping soundly on the couch over there.
Aviva, I could talk forever. Thank you so much for this. Very insightful. Thanks everybody for joining this episode. And yeah, we'll keep talking, Aviva. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul.
All right.
I appreciate you having me on.
Sure.